Imagine this for a moment. Imagine waking up tomorrow with a fire so strong, so unshakable, that your mood has absolutely no power over your destiny. Imagine looking at your plan, the plan that leads to your highest self, and instead of negotiating with your feelings, you execute with certainty. Imagine living a life where your emotions no longer sabotage your progress, where discipline becomes your freedom, and where your commitment becomes stronger than any excuse. If that speaks to you, then stay with me, because today we're going to break free from the trap that keeps most people stuck. Today, we're choosing to stick to the plan, not the mood. We live in a world where people are ruled by temporary emotions, and those emotions make permanent decisions. They wake up feeling tired, so they cancel on their goals. They feel unmotivated, so they delay what matters. They feel overwhelmed, so they step back from the very actions that would simplify their lives. And then they look at their results and wonder why nothing changes. But I want you to understand something powerful right now. Your mood is a visitor, but your plan is a commitment. Your mood fluctuates, but your purpose is constant. Your emotions shift, but your mission stays. And when you learn to anchor yourself to the plan instead of the mood, you become unstoppable. Because, let's be honest, your mood has lied to you more times than you can count. It has told you that you're too tired when you weren't. It has told you that you can't start today when you could. It has convinced you that you'll do it later, even though you rarely do. Your mood is not your guide. Your mood is not your mentor. Your mood has no loyalty to your greatness. But your plan does. Your plan is the blueprint of who you're becoming. Your plan is the contract you sign with your future self. Your plan is the promise you make to the life you want to build. So the moment you treat your plan with higher authority than your mood, everything transforms. Most people don't fail because they lack talent, potential, or opportunity. They fail because they obey their mood more than they obey their plan. They let feelings dictate actions instead of letting commitments dictate outcomes. Think about it. The day you feel motivated, everything seems possible. You're fired up, you're ready, you're unstoppable. But the next day, the excitement fades, the energy drops, the mood shifts, and suddenly the same plan that felt inspiring now feels overwhelming. Not because the plan changed, but because your state changed. This is where champions separate themselves from the crowd. Champions execute regardless of mood. They show up regardless of emotion. They act based on their standards, not their feelings. And let me tell you something that might challenge you. Discipline is not about forcing yourself into misery. Discipline is about freeing yourself from the chaos of your mood. When you rely on your feelings to guide you, your life becomes inconsistent, unpredictable, unstable. But when you rely on your commitments, everything becomes grounded. Your plan becomes the compass. Discipline becomes the engine. Consistency becomes your superpower. And the results, they become inevitable. Think about a time when you didn't feel like doing something, but you did it anyway. Maybe it was getting out of bed early. Maybe it was going to the gym. Maybe it was studying or working on your business or having a difficult conversation you were avoiding. How did you feel afterward? Empowered, strong, in control. Why? Because nothing builds self-trust faster than choosing your plan over your mood. Every time you do what you said you were going to do, even when you don't feel like it, you prove to yourself that you can be counted on. You build a reputation with yourself. You become someone whose word has weight. And that is one of the most powerful transformations a human being can experience, the inner shift from hoping you can change to knowing you can change. And that shift happens through action, not emotion. Through commitment, not convenience. Through following the plan, not the mood. Let me ask you this. How many opportunities have you lost because of a temporary mood? How many dreams have been delayed because you told yourself, not today? How many breakthroughs have you missed because your mood convinced you to wait for the perfect moment? Your mood has talked you out of more progress than any other force in your life. But the moment you recognize that moods are simply waves, and waves pass, you break the cycle. You become the one in control. You become the one deciding what happens next. And here's the truth: your plan doesn't need your mood. Your goals don't care if you're tired. Your purpose doesn't disappear because you're stressed. Your future doesn't get postponed because you don't feel like working today. You have two choices in every situation: follow your feelings or follow your plan. And one of those choices builds your life. The other destroys it. You weren't meant to live a life dictated by emotional weather patterns. You weren't built for inconsistency, hesitation, and endless resets. You were built for growth, power, strength, and progress. You were designed to break cycles, not repeat them. But that requires you to stop negotiating with your mood, because every time you negotiate with your mood, you shrink. You weaken your identity. You reinforce a pattern that tells your brain, my feelings are the boss. And let me tell you, when your feelings are the boss, your goals become the victim. You need to flip that script. You need to teach your mind a new patterns. My plan is the boss. My future is the boss. My commitments are the boss. When you operate from that place, you become a completely different person. Your confidence grows. Your consistency grows. Your power grows. You don't wait for the mood to be right. You create the energy by taking action. You don't wait for motivation. You generate momentum. You don't wait for clarity. You build clarity through execution. And remember this: moods are unpredictable, but habits are reliable. Moods are emotional, but systems are logical. Moods change daily, but standards define your life. Your job isn't to chase the perfect mood. Your job is to build habits that function no matter what mood you're in. Because your mood is a visitor, but your habits shape your identity. Your mood is temporary, but your discipline is transformational. Your mood is an emotion, but your plan is a decision. And decisions are what build great lives. There will be days you don't feel like showing up. There will be days when you're tired, frustrated, unmotivated, overwhelmed. There will be days when everything in you wants to take the easy path. Those days matter more than any other day. Anyone can execute when they feel amazing. Anyone can act when motivation is flowing. But the great ones, the successful ones, the unstoppable ones, they act when they don't feel like it. They build their power in the moments most people walk away. They do the work when the mood is gone. And that is what sets them apart. The real growth happens in the days you don't feel like it. Because those days shape your character. Those days develop your grit. Those days strengthen your self-control. Those days are the training ground of greatness. And every time you push through on those days, you build a new level of self-respect. You tell yourself, I keep my promises, and that identity is priceless. So from this moment forward, I want you to practice something powerful. Act according to the plan, even in the absence of the mood. Act according to the standard, not the feeling. Act according to the vision, not the emotion. Your mood will try to distract you, deceive you, delay you, but it cannot defeat you if you don't obey it. When you feel tired, start small. When you feel resistant, do one step. When your mood pulls you away, return to the plan. Let the plan become your anchor. Let discipline become your rhythm. Let consistency become your language. Let commitment become your lifestyle. Because at the end of the day, the future you want is not built on how you feel, it's built on what you do. And if you stick to the plan instead of the mood, life will reward you in ways your mood could never imagine. And when you truly understand the power of choosing your plan over your mood, you begin to see how much of your life has been shaped by emotional impulses rather than intentional action. You begin to recognize that so many of the setbacks you've faced were never about lack of ability. They were about temporary feelings that you allowed to steer the wheel. And when you see that clearly, something awakens in you. A new fire, a new awareness, a new demand for yourself. Because once you see how much your mood has cost you, you refuse to keep paying that price. You begin to understand that greatness is not emotional, it is structural. It is built on systems, routines, repetitions, and standards. It is built on days that don't look glamorous, moments that feel boring, and actions that feel ordinary. It is built in silence, without applause, without excitement, without motivation. It is built through the quiet discipline of following the plan, not the mood. Your mood wants comfort, but your plan wants growth. Your mood wants excuses, but your plan wants progress. Your mood wants the shortcut, but your plan wants the right path. And when you choose the plan, you choose the version of you that thrives, not the version of you that settles. Sometimes the biggest battle you fight isn't against the world, it's against yourself, against your old patterns, against your own resistance, against that inner voice whispering, do it later, Do it tomorrow, skip it today. But here's the truth. If you keep letting that voice win, you reinforce a habit of self-betrayal, and nothing will destroy your confidence faster than letting yourself down repeatedly. People think confidence comes from success, but it doesn't. Confidence comes from self-alignment. Confidence comes from knowing that you can rely on yourself. And that reliability is built one decision at a time, especially the decisions you don't feel like making. You're never just doing the task itself. You're building the identity behind the task. You're teaching your mind who you are. You're declaring with every action, I am someone who follows through. I am someone who honors my commitments. I am someone who moves with purpose. Such an identity is far more valuable than any single achievement because it guarantees future success. Your achievements are outcomes, but your identity is the cause. And identity is shaped not by your mood, but by your consistency. There will always be resistance on the path to something meaningful. Resistance is a sign that you're moving towards something bigger than you are. Your mood will often resist what challenges you because challenge brings uncertainty. But your soul, your vision, the future you're building, they crave that challenge. They thrive on it. Everything great in your life is on the other side of doing what you don't feel like doing. There will be mornings when you wake up and the last thing you want to do is work, train, study, build, push forward. Your mind will say, not today. But those mornings are gifts. They are tests. They are opportunities to rise above the emotional noise and prove to yourself that your plan is command, not suggestion. And every time you choose the plan on a day like that, you carve a new path in your mind. You wire yourself for strength. You program discipline deep into your identity. Momentum loves consistency. The universe loves commitment. When you show up with steady action, even small steps begin to multiply into massive results. But when you operate based on mood, you start and stop, accelerate and brake, move and freeze, never building the momentum needed for breakthrough. Mood-based living is like trying to run an engine by flicking the ignition on and off at random. The machine never warms up. It never runs smoothly. It never performs at its potential. But plan-based living, that's a whole different reality. When you move with structure, you operate with a steady rhythm that compounds over time. You become predictable to your goals. You become dependable to your vision. You create a flow that your life can build upon. And that flow brings opportunities that mood-based living can never attract. People who follow their mood spend their whole life restarting. People who follow their plans spend their life rising. It's the difference between living in cycles and living in progress. And I want you to hear this: your mood does not reflect your capability. Just because you don't feel powerful doesn't mean you aren't powerful. Just because you don't feel motivated doesn't mean you're not capable of incredible action. Just because you feel tired doesn't mean you can't perform. Your mood is simply energy in motion. It's not the truth. The truth is in your actions, not your emotions. You've had days where you felt exhausted but still delivered. You've had days where you felt discouraged but still pushed through. You've had days where your mood was low, yet you accomplished more than you thought possible. Those moments reveal your actual strength. And the more you rely on that strength, the less power your mood will have over you. Imagine where you could be 1 year from now if you stopped letting your mood decide your life. Imagine the shape of your body, the state of your mind, the success of your business, the quality of your relationships, the depth of your confidence. Imagine the version of you that emerges when your plan becomes the driver and your mood becomes background noise. Imagine waking up and not even checking how you feel before taking action. Imagine being a person who doesn't negotiate with discomfort, delay, laziness, or fear. Imagine living with such internal clarity that your actions are automatic, aligned, and consistent. You would become a force. You would become the kind of person others look at and say, how do they stay so disciplined? But the truth is, it's not discipline. It's identity. It's structure. It's repetition. It's choosing the plan over the mood so consistently that it becomes who you are. The world is filled with people who wait for the right feeling. They wait for motivation, inspiration, energy, excitement. But they fail to realize that action creates those feelings, not the other way around. You don't need to feel motivated to act, but when you act, motivation follows. You don't need the mood to be right to begin, but beginning creates the mood you need. Action shifts your emotional state more powerfully than any thought ever could. Your mind often wants to talk you out of action, but your body, it knows how to move. It knows how to perform. It knows how to execute. Sometimes you just need to bypass the mental negotiation and let your body begin. Once you start, the mind follows. Once you move, resistance melts. Once you act, the mood shifts. So the next time you feel resistance, remind yourself this is not a mood problem, this is an action problem. And action solves mood every single time. I want you to think about the version of you who is living the life you want. The version of you who is fit, focused, financially secure, mentally sharp, emotionally stable, disciplined, driven, abundant, powerful. That version of you is not driven by mood. That version of you acts from commitment, consistency, and clarity. That version of you doesn't ask, do I feel like it? They ask, is it part of the plan? And if the answer is yes, they do it. That level of self-respect is what builds greatness. You don't rise to your goals, you fall to your systems. And your systems are only as strong as your ability to follow them regardless of your feelings. If you wait for the mood, you will always be inconsistent. But if you follow the system, you will always be progressing. You were not born to be controlled by your mood. You were born to master your mind, your energy, your habits, and your direction. You were born to build something with your life that reflects your potential, not your emotional impulses. You were born to experience the power that comes from living with intention, structure, devotion, and unstoppable consistency. So when your mood shifts, and it will, don't shift with it. When resistance shows up, and it will, don't let it win. When laziness whispers in your ear, and it will, don't allow it to lead. When doubt surfaces, and it will, don't let it drag you off track. In those moments, breathe, acknowledge the feeling, and then act anyway. Because the action you take when your mood says stop is the action that transforms you. That action is the birthplace of strength. That action is the birthplace of discipline. That action is the birthplace of confidence. And when you stack enough of those actions, one on top of another, day after day, you build a life that reflects consistency rather than chaos. You build a life that reflects intention rather than emotion. You build a life that reflects the plan, not the mood. When you master the ability to act independent of your feelings, you become truly free. No mood can stop you. No emotion can redirect you. No resistance can hold you back. You become the architect of your life, the driver of your destiny, the builder of your path. Because nothing is more powerful than a person who sticks to the plan regardless of how they feel.